so this is the Tuttio Soliel01, but you probably already knew that because there is a billion videos of this thing on YouTube and TikTok. And it's a super popular bike and it's well reviewed all over the board. But my experience with it wasn't so great to start off with. So my expectations were pretty high for the Soliel01 because even though this is one of the cheapest electric dirt bikes you can get, there's a lot of hype around this and there's been a lot of good things said about this bike. And I had a lot of you guys asking me to review this bike, so I decided to pick one up for myself. I already made a video on this before, but I unboxed this thing and when I went to turn it on, it wasn't turning on. Now at first I thought it might have been the ignition or something, or the screen wasn't working, but eventually I ended up testing the battery and found out that there was an issue with the battery and it was completely dead. Not like it needs to be charged dead, like completely dead, like showing 0 volts. And so I was super disappointed because I wanted to get on this thing and ride it around ASAP because I'd heard so much good stuff about this bike. But I reached out to Tuttio's support after that, and that sort of started a weeks-long process of frustration with dealing with their customer service. And they ended up asking me to send this bike back to, I assume, their Chinese factory or their warehouse in California, something. They wanted me to send this entire bike back, already assembled and everything, back to them so that they could figure out what was wrong with it. So after a ton of diagnosing myself, I finally was able to talk them out of me sending this thing back, and they ended up sending me a brand new battery. And as you can see, everything works now. So after all that chaos and basically a month or two of me having this thing sit in my garage, not being able to use it, it's finally out here. It's a beautiful spring day. So is the Soliel01 worth the hype? Well, let's ride it and find out. Alright guys, so the Soliel01, this has been a long time coming. We're finally back on this bike. It's been a few months, but I finally got the battery in. And man, this bike's so much fun. You know, you can just rip up off-road trails like this. And with this tune that I have on here, it can go almost 40 miles an hour. You know, for the amount of money that I paid for this thing, I bought this for just over 1,100 bucks. Now it's like $13.99, I think, because of tariffs or whatever. But even then, it's still a pretty good deal for what you get. And if you buy the adapter and you tune this thing, once you get bored of it, you tune it, and it's like almost a new bike. Even though we got off to a pretty rough start with this thing, I absolutely love the Soliel01. It's nice to be out here on a legit like dirt bike that can actually handle off-road stuff as opposed to, you know, just a hub motor e-bike. So let's go down here and do some dirt bike stuff. Now it is a swamp down here and I don't really want to get too dirty, but you know, it handles this type of stuff just fine. And we can go up this hill on throttle only, of course, and there's not an issue. And especially on light off-road stuff like this, it just rips it up. It is kind of a loud bike, but that's okay. You know, it's a dirt bike, it's chain driven. It's different than a hub motor bike. So I think one of the biggest downsides to this bike is the fact that this is a 48 volt battery, which isn't really the best. You know, you're not gonna get a ton of power and you're not gonna get a ton of top speed out of this, which is why it's kind of surprising that this thing can do almost 40 miles an hour with that tune. On a stock sprocket, on stock everything, stock battery, all that. We can go over these tree roots like nothing. But you know, that's the one caveat with this bike, is that it is a 48 volt bike. But the way I look at it is, even if you bought this as just like a rolling chassis and you went out and bought a 72 volt conversion kit, which you can buy for I think $700-800 bucks, for just over $2,000, there's a weird tarp right here. For just over $2,000, you can get a 72 volt mini dirt bike like this, a pit bike, whatever you want to call it. And you can have a ton of fun. You can go over 50 miles an hour, rip up the streets. It's just, the value proposition is definitely there with the Tuttio Soliel01. So you can see it's just handling these trails and stuff like nothing. We're just tearing it up back here. And you know, if you want to get out and explore, this thing is really, really awesome for that. It's got really, really deep knobby tread, and we're just gonna hit these sticks right here. Oh yeah, not a problem. But it's nice to be on something like this where it's actually a little bit more made to be doing this type of stuff, as opposed to like a hub motor e-bike, which a lot of them can go off-road, and there's some that are surprisingly capable. But this is, if you want to go off-road, this is what you need. You need something like this. And so much just happened right now. My GoPro shut off and wasn't turning on bush light. We've got bush light back here. Hub motor e-bikes are pretty capable, but this thing is way, way more capable, and it's got the torque to back it up. And yes, it does lift the front up. It does want a wheelie. Of course, this is a dirt bike, so you probably want to be using this off-road. But if you do want to take it on some bike trails like this, you definitely can. This is way louder than most e-bikes though, because anytime you go mid-drive, it's going to be real loud. So let's get a top speed test. So I'm getting about 35 right now. We can get 38, 40 on a full battery, and we're probably about half battery right now because I've been ripping this thing around off-road for about an hour now. And if you do want to tune this thing, there's plenty of videos on how to do it. I'll try and link the video that I used. Once you tune this thing, it really comes alive. This thing is so much fun once it's tuned. We just get so much voltage sag after I tune this. It's ridiculous. This thing just sucks out so much power. I don't know how it's going to be for the longevity of this bike, but hey, it's fun now. And plus, you'll probably get bored of this eventually and want to upgrade it to 72 volts if you do stick with this. The suspension on this thing is awesome. It's super overkill for what this bike's capable of. And I imagine this is what most people are going to use this bike for, just grass and stuff like this. Most of the people that are probably going to buy this thing are kids anyways, and they're just going to be putting around the neighborhood and on some dirt trails with this. I don't think anybody's going to be doing serious off-roading on this thing, but you know, for what it's intended for, which is just putting around and having a good time and stuff like that, this is just such a blast to be out here and riding around on this thing. It does get a little bit squirrely in the wind like this, but overall, it feels pretty stable once you're going off-road. This is a relatively lightweight bike, you know, for what this is. We just bottomed the suspension out there. The riding position on this, you're sitting pretty upright, and the way the foot pegs are set up and everything, my legs are kind of up here. I don't know if you guys can see it. It's definitely not the most comfortable bike for longer rides. You're gonna wanna limit your riding to this. I wouldn't wanna sit here and just do a constant speed on this. Really, I have fun. I have the most fun with this off-road. This bike is kind of just, it feels really well built and everything, but at the same time, it is Chinesium. Like, it is a Chinese kind of no-name dirt bike, so you get good parts. You get the battery's not name brand sales or anything, but I'm sure it'll be fine. And of course, I had that issue where the bike just wasn't working at all for me because the battery was completely dead. Sitting at 47 volts right here and just going uphill like this, you know, it handles it perfectly fine. I'm scaring all these cranes away. It's pretty well built, but I can definitely see that it's not the highest quality parts and everything, which you should not expect for the price of this bike at all. The suspension on this thing feels awesome. It feels really, really good. It absorbs all of these bumps, and this is pretty bumpy terrain. It might not, big hill. Might not look like it on the video, but the GoPro tends to make things look a lot smoother, but you can hear in my voice that I'm shaking around a little bit, but this is, an e-bike would fall apart on this. I am a full-grown adult and I'm still having a blast on this thing. So if you want to introduce your kid to dirt bikes or something, this would be a great option. So the brakes on this thing are awesome, man. That front brake is strong enough to throw you over the front and do a stoppie. You know, the thing that I love about this is this chassis, the way that it's set up, is really good to grow. Like I said, you know, you can start off on this bike, learn how to use it, get comfortable on it, and then once you get bored of it, you can upgrade things. You can upgrade the motor, the controller, the battery. You know, you can do it for $600-800 bucks, get a 72 volt motor and controller and battery, and then you have something that's totally new. I would say the limiting factor of this bike is its frame size. You know, it is small, especially for a full-size adult like me at 5'9", 150 pounds. I'm not even a huge guy, but I am a little bit cramped on this. This is a great platform to upgrade and everything. And the cool thing is you're covered with that suspension and the brakes. You know, most of the time people can make something fast, but then they neglect the brakes and the suspension and everything. This has you covered already. You've got the good brakes, you've got the good suspension. You can go do all that stuff, and then when you're bored, you can upgrade it. So some of the things that I don't really like on this bike are the fact that it doesn't come with a headlight. I would like to see a built-in headlight, but again, for this price, like, it can totally be forgiven. I understand why they didn't put a headlight on this. They basically put all the money into the powertrain and the components so that they could get you the best bike possible for the cheapest amount of money. So as a value proposition, this is just an awesome, awesome bike. Now, my issue with Tuttio and the battery and everything, I explained it in the other video, but like I said, they did end up getting me that new battery, and everything works fine after that. Everything's totally all good to go. It did take a really long time to get that battery out of them. I was going back and forth with them for weeks, and there was periods of time where they just weren't responding to me for a while. And right in the beginning, when I first emailed them, they didn't get back to me for over a week. And I was hitting them back up, messaging them, hey, is there any updates? And they still weren't getting back to me. And then I uploaded that video of this bike, not even to be a Karen, but just to talk about my experience on it. I bought this thing to talk about it, so I wanted to upload a video on it. So I uploaded a video talking about my experience of this bike and my buying experience and everything so far, and with their customer service. And then what do you know? They instantly got back to me. We're so sorry your email got lost. You know, we had a lot of inquiries and blah, 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 blah. I don't have a big audience, and I wasn't using that video as leverage to get them to respond to me or anything, or to get anything out of them. But I do think it was kind of bogus how they treated me by not responding to me for over a week, because I paid them my hard-earned money for this bike. And the fact that it didn't work out of the box and they didn't seem to really care or treat it urgently is a huge red flag. Even if they did lose my message, that's not good customer service. So if you're gonna buy one of these, and I actually do recommend this bike, if you do buy one of these, I would buy it through Amazon. Even though you might be able to get it a little bit cheaper from Tuttio, on Amazon, at least you have some sort of accountability. At the very least, at least you have Amazon holding Tuttio accountable, so that you can at least get your money back if something doesn't work. So I will leave an affiliate link in the description for this bike if you do want to check it out. I really do think it is worth checking out. Overall, man, I'm super happy with the Tuttio so far. Let's see how many miles I got on this thing. I got 43 miles on this thing so far. Let's see what the trip says. I've ridden it about 11.5 miles so far, and it's reading half of a battery when we're just sitting there doing nothing. Reading about 42.8 under load, so I mean this battery is over half dead right now. 12 miles just ripping on it after this tune is really, really awesome. It's definitely more than enough to get you around and take you on adventures and stuff. Obviously this bike is a gray area because there are no pedals on it. It looks like a dirt bike, and when you ride this thing on bike trails like this, people do kind of give you a dirty look, not gonna lie. I really enjoy riding this more off-road. I don't really enjoy riding this on bike paths and stuff like this because that's not what it's made for. I have e-bikes with street tires. This is a dirt bike that's meant to be off-road. You can ride around the neighborhood and everything with this, and it's still fun, but it's really meant to be going off-road and stuff. And the torque on this thing is just awesome. You know, it's so much fun coming from a hub motor bike to this. Even though this isn't the fastest or most powerful, it's just so much fun to have that torque at your disposal. You know, all this torque from that big sprocket is just so much fun to rip around on. I totally recommend the Tuttio Soliel, even though I had a bit of a rocky start with this bike and not the best customer service experience. I really do think this is the value dirt bike. You can buy this thing, start out with it how it is, and upgrade it as you go. I think it's absolutely worth the money. Nothing but a blast every single mile on this thing. It's been so fun. That's all I got for you guys today. I will see you all in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.